before last week, a 2011 interview with porn star Stormy Daniels resurfaced after rumors that she had an affair with President Donald Trump made news. Here with the inside scoop is the reporter who conducted that interview, our friend to the show, Jordi Lippe-McGraw. Okay. So you did the interview in 2011.
Yes.
But the affair timeline was from 2006.
Correct.
Okay.
So, we had found out about this story back in 2011 and didn't really think that much of it. We conducted the whole interview, we did all of our reporting, and the story turned out to be true. And then, stories get killed all the time for various reasons.
Well, back in 2011, I mean, he was big here in New York, but
yeah, I mean, he was kind of like a C-list reality star, a New York socialite. I mean, we also cared about John Gosselin at the time. So I'm sure if John Gosselin ran for president, we'd probably be digging up old interviews about him as well.
Right,
so.
And at the time you were working at In Touch magazine.
I was, yeah. So I did the whole interview and then, kind of got pushed aside. And time went on. Donald Trump became president, and then the Wall Street Journal reported a couple weeks ago that his lawyer had paid off Stormy Daniels to keep quiet about this affair. Back
only $130,000.
Well, yeah. And then, so what I did is I saw this report, and I was literally on the way to the airport to go to Antarctica for 2 weeks. And I messaged a friend that I used to work with that still works at In Touch, and I said, hey, by the way, I kind of had this story a number of years ago. You might want to see if the interview is still around, the transcript from it. They found it. She brought it to the editorial director, and now here we are. Blew the lid off the whole thing.
So, what did you all do to make sure that this story was truthful?
Absolutely. Well, as you can read, they released the full transcript, which is about 5,000 words. Kind of hard to make something up like that. During the interview, she wasn't salacious about it. She was
on the phone.
She was on the phone, yes. I did the interview over the phone. She wasn't trying to romanticize it or anything. It was very businesslike, but we did our due diligence. We talked to multiple sources who corroborated her story.
Polygraph test.
We had her take a polygraph test, which she passed, and we had those other sources, which we spoke to, also take polygraph
her
tests.
ex-boyfriend.
Yep.
And also her best friend.
Yep.
Who she told all the business to.
Yes.
And everyone passed.
Everyone passed. So we had no doubt that this story is 100% true. And now you can read it for yourself. There's some pretty good details in there.
So what stood out most in the interview?
Oh my God, Wendy. This was just crazy. And when I went back to reread it, things that I didn't even remember shocked me. I mean, first of all, for her, this wasn't something about having a relationship with Donald Trump. It was more of kind of a business thing. She thought he was an interesting person. She didn't really even intend to have sex with him. In the interview, she says she didn't even bring condoms, and she's allergic to latex. So usually when she feels like she might be having this type of encounter...
She likes the sheep lamb. Yeah.
She'll bring her own condoms, and she didn't. So they had unprotected sex, according to her. And it was very businesslike. So that stood out to me for sure. Also, the fact that he compared her to his daughter, which is a little weird.
You're beautiful and smart. He said something to that effect.
Yep. And one of my favorite parts is that he's afraid of sharks. I mean, these are just details you can't make up. And he's tweeted in the past that he strongly dislikes sharks. And apparently that came up in conversation during this romantic interlude.
Did she realize that he was married?
Yes, she knew he was married. I mean, obviously, he's a very public person. And I asked her if she felt bad about it, and she said, really, at the time, not so much. He didn't really bring her up at all. He just said not to worry about it when they did have kind of a few, back and forth about her a little bit. But for the most part, to her, it was kind of an opportunity. She thought maybe she could get on a reality show of his. And
she wanted to be on Apprentice because she has, at the time, she had a line of
she was a huge porn star. I mean, apparently she was one of the top porn stars at the time.
But she had some sex toys or something like that, which is how they first met. She was in the gifting suite showing her toys.
Yes, they met at a golf tournament.
Yes, at a golf tournament.
And if you remember in the interview too, I know you've read the full transcript, he had her sign one of her own DVDs after they had sex in Tahoe back in 2006.
And so, how often were they together, approximately, like a timeline before she was just like, I'm done?
This whole sort of thing went back and forth for a little bit over a year. She said in the interview that he would call, every few weeks to check in on her, ask if they could hang out again. But it wasn't like this huge, big affair. Friends have come out since then and said, we didn't notice anything different about her. It wasn't like she was saying, "Oh my God, I love Donald Trump, and we're gonna have a family together." It was, you know, it was just kind of this thing that was happening on the side, and he would always call from an unknown number, a blocked number.
And then she would have to call Keith, the bodyguard,
Yep.
his main man. And then Keith would pass the phone over.
Yeah, exactly. Or Keith would always be like outside the door to escort her into the room where he would be sitting and having dinner in his sweatpants watching Shark Week.
So how is Melania handling this?
Well, actually, a New York Times report came out that said she was completely blindsided by this whole story, as you can imagine, and she was furious. She was supposed to go to Davos with him. She canceled, and instead went to Mar-a-Lago, where she enjoyed spending some time at the spa. But her spokesperson did come out and say, Melania is focused on her family and role as First Lady of the United States, not the unrealistic scenarios being peddled daily by the fake news. But Wendy, if I were pissed at my husband, I'd probably skip a business trip to go on a spa day, too.
3 lie detectors, wow.
Yeah.
And they just celebrated their 13th wedding anniversary
but
earlier
no one knew
this
about
week.
it. I mean,
no one knew about it.
they
He
didn't
didn't
say
tweet.
anything.
He tweets everything. They didn't say anything, and apparently they did nothing.
Yeah, of all the things not to tweet, you would think that they might tweet about their wedding anniversary.
You gotta watch that number 13. Okay, so is Stormy, is she enjoying this attention? I see her on every other channel.
She's certainly not shying away from it, that's for sure. She's actually doing this tour across the country at different strip joints, making appearances. It's called Make America Horny Again. It's a good tagline. And it's selling out, and she's going to be on Jimmy Kimmel tonight after the president's State of the Union. So Stormy Daniels is causing another storm, I guess.
38 years old. It's almost time for her to back out of that life.
Well, she's certainly owning up to all of it and is not shying away from it whatsoever.
Jordi Lippe-McGraw, thank you so much for the tea. For more information on these stories, go to wendyshow.com.